tomorrow.
You going down to Buford or you going to Hammond?
Okay. How's everybody doing?
Great.
You see the
Good.
PowerPoint slides okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. So today I'm going to talk to you about the test and give you some suggestions for getting ready for this week. It's a little bit different type of setup than you're probably used to, but I think you'll like it. Okay, so the questions on the test are coming from lessons 1, 3 through 7. So that's essentially the first content from the first exam and the content that we've been working on recently. So there's only 4 questions from lesson 1. I posted the study guides on SitLearn, so you can review that for those for that lesson. There's 5 questions from lesson 3, 5 from lesson 4, and 7 each from 5, 6, 7. So that's the new content there is 5, 6, 7. The questions, let me talk a little bit more about that. So basically what I did is I built a database for each lesson. And each database has at least 20 questions. Some have more than that. And I take the questions from those databases in a random fashion. So when you click on the test, it's actually generated just for you. So you'll get your own set of questions, and the next student will get a different set of questions, and so on. So that's how that's going to come to you. You get 35 questions from those databases, okay, based on that order. Okay, so here's how you want to tackle this week. I'm going to give you 2 chances to take that test, and none of those grades count. So those are practice. So you can fire up that test twice before the testing window. So that's before Wednesday at 8 in the morning. So after that point in time, you can't use the practice test. It'll be gone. You won't see it. Okay, and the scoring feedback is available on that. So when you take one of those practice tests, you're going to get feedback on which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. So you can analyze the question in more detail and try to figure it out. I'm not going to tell you how to get those answers. I want you to really push through that and see if you can get them. Most of the questions are just definition types, but there are some number crunching questions that you're going to want to work through, mostly from the more recent content where we calculate a break-even point and stuff like that. So again, you can take those anytime between now and Wednesday morning at 8, and you can look at the scoring feedback for each one. So let me review how to do that. We've talked about it before. You go to your grades, you click on the % score for the practice test, and then you click on the link for that test, and it'll open it up so you can see which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. If you need help with that anytime over the next couple of days, just let me know. All right, so then over the 2-day window, so the window opens Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. You can take your first take of the exam, okay? And that take, you have to complete it. As soon as you open it, you get 2 hours to complete it. That's worth 60% of your grade. And no scoring feedback is available other than your total score. So I'm not going to tell you what you got right, what you got wrong. All right, so you need to do that kind of work back here when you do the practice test. And then you get a second take at that test, and you won't see this until you submit the first take. Okay, you won't see it, it won't even show up on SitLearn until after. So it's called an adaptive release. So you'll see the second take as soon as you submit this one, and you got to complete that one also before the end of the window. So this is the end of the window, this is the beginning of the window. Okay, that second one's worth 40% of your grade. And again, I'm not giving you any feedback on that, it's just your total score. So you can use your book, you can use your notes, You can use any of the details that I've given you. I'm asking you not to talk to your classmates about the exam or during the exam. And I'm asking you to figure out the questions' answers. So push through them until you can figure them out.
Dr. Wright,
Yeah.
is this going to be like how we had the last exam in class? Like the first part is a sheet and then the next part's like multiple choice or something? Or is this different than that?
This one's all multiple choice.
Okay.
There's a couple true false too.
Okay.
So there's no Excel component for this.
Okay.
So the idea is, but by the time you get to the close of the window, which is on Thursday night this week at 12 o'clock. So watch out for this. Like you have a 2-hour window every time you open this test. So of course, the latest you can start the second test would be 10 o'clock on April 9th, Thursday, because you need 2 hours to complete that. You all still there? I just lost the whole side panel of your videos. Is everybody still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, still
Okay.
here.
I'm still here.
All right, now it's back. That was weird.
Wouldn't miss it.
The whole participant panel just disappeared, but now it's back. Okay. All right, other questions on this. So again, the idea here is that you will have gone through this test 4 times, right? So 2 chances to practice it. And it's the same data sets, right? So this gives you 4 shots at learning the material. And it also kind of gives you a chance to improve your scores all the way through. So you get a couple of sneak peeks, I call it, right, in the practice. You look at it twice, and you'll know what your score is, so there shouldn't be any surprises, all right? If you do really bad, that means you need to study more and study the questions you didn't do well on when you're doing the practice. These points don't count on your total score for the class. It's just practice. And then this is where things start to count. So that's where 60% of your exam score, the first take. And then the second take is worth 40%. So you have a chance to better your score, improve your score.
So first take and second take are the same test? Or
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But they're different random questions.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So remember the database, let me go back here. I know it's a little bit different than what you're used to.
Like pan out. So like say I made like a 90 on one and a 75 on one. Like I'm confused how.
Like the averaged or?
Yeah, they're averaged. So you take the score on the first test times 60%,
Mm-hmm.
score on the second test times 40%, and add them together.
So if I make like a 95 the first test and then somehow, unfortunately, make like a 50 on the next one, the 95 isn't going to be, like it doesn't matter? So
The 95 will be 60% of your score.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what
I don't
we make,
expect
we
that
have
to
take
happen.
the second test.
No,
Seriously.
man, hopefully not.
So we
And
have,
if it did happen, you know, that to me there was some luck in there, and the first test for some reason didn't capture what you really knew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we
Alright.
have to take the
Let me go
first-
back to this again because I want to make sure you get what I'm telling you. So each one of these lessons, I have a database of questions that I created. And I have at least 20 questions in each one of these databases. Okay. So when you start a practice test, you're going to get a draw from these databases. You'll get 4 out of the first database, 5 out of the second database, and so on. Every time you start a test, you get a different version of the test. Now you might see some of the same questions. Oh, let me also say this. Your quiz questions are in these databases. So those quizzes you took for lesson 6 and lesson 7 that I gave you, those are some of the questions that are on the test as well. So you have seen some of these questions already. So I'm hoping this strategy does a couple things. One, it helps you practice the material a lot, which is important to me. And also gives you some chances to get feedback before you're starting to score and log your points. I think a lot of times what happens, students think they're prepared. They think they're ready to take the test, and they're really not. And so the practice test will give you that feedback if you're ready.
With the exam, we have to take the second take no matter what we get on the first part of the exam.
Correct. Correct. Now, let me say it again. I give you 2 hours. Now, do you have to take the whole 2 hours? No, but you have 2 hours for each take. Even the practice exams are timed and they're set at 2 hours. But as soon as you submit, then that closes the window. You can't open it after that. Okay. So, right, 2 hours, must complete it once it's opened. Okay, so questions?
Is there a study guide?
Yeah, there's several. So let me take you over to the Sit Learn. Hang on. Okay, can you see Sit Learn okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you go to course modules, right here, scroll down. All right, so here's your information on the exam 2. If you go in, right now, you see this. If you go in, you see practice exam number 2, 35 multiple choice questions. 2 chances to take this test. Due before, that's Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And I'm telling you how I built the questions, right? So every time you fire this up, you get 2 hours to get it done. And then you can review the questions, which ones you got right, which ones you got wrong. And you get a score. You don't see this right now. Hang on, I gotta let somebody in. Okay, you don't see this yet, and you don't see this yet. Okay, but you do see these. So, Brad, was that you that was asking me where these are?
Yeah, it was.
Yep. So there's lesson 1, 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7 are separate documents. So definitely want to print those out, study them, make sure you know the formulas, stuff like that. All right, so Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, this one will be released. That's the first. You'll see that one on Sit Learn right here. It'll show right up. And then as soon as you take and submit this one, so as soon as you submit that, then this one will show up. See where it says adaptive release? That means this one gets released when this one gets submitted. And then you can take that.
So take 2 of the exam is due on Wednesday night as well. Let's take 1.
No. So there's a 2-day window. This window for the first one opens at 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning. And then technically, let me fix this because this should say 8 o'clock. That's my typo. Right here. Why is this 8 o'clock, not 10 o'clock? Right here. If this is the first take. Why is this 8 o'clock? Thursday. How many hours do you need to take this one?
2 hours.
Yeah,
2 hours.
you have 2. So the earliest you would complete this, I should say the latest, you might get it done in an hour, which I expect most of you will. But I gave you 2, okay? So once you get this one done, then this one shows up. The second one shows up in your Sit Learn. And the latest you want to start that is 10 o'clock because again, you want the 2-hour window. When does your window close?
Thursday at midnight.
Thursday at midnight. Everybody cool with that? Thursday at midnight.
So
They-
how long should the exam take?
My guess is 35 questions. You should have them done in an hour or less. But I gave you 2.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so there's your study guides. Everybody can see this now. They're all there. Everybody can see these practice exams for the next 2 days. Those are there. And then these will show up Wednesday morning. You'll see this one. And then as soon as you submit this one, this will show up and you can take it. Okay, again, the practice exams, the idea there is that you get some feedback before you take the test so you have an idea of where your skill level is. So how much more work you probably should do to get ready for the test. Other questions?
So besides the test, there's no other assignments this week.
No, that's it for this week.
That's a good look.
You don't have to do the discussion boards.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's what we like to hear, Ms. Wright.
This is,
Yeah.
I figure by the time you take this test 4 times, that's plenty of work.
Yeah, if I don't know it by then, there's no learning it. So
Right. And you don't have to do the practice test twice, but I think you should. And like I said, I don't think it's going to take 2 hours, but you have it. Gives you a sneak peek. And like I said, those quizzes that you took earlier, those are from the same databases.
So since the practice exams aren't required, can they be like participation grades?
They're just a gift. They're a gift.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a sneak peek at the test. And then remember, once you take those, then come Wednesday morning, you'll be able to see these. And then as soon as you take the first take, then the second take shows. But if you have any questions or problems during the week, just let me know, okay?
I have a question. If you do really well on like the first take for both exam 1 and 2, you don't have to do the second take, correct?
You have to do both.
Okay.
You have to do both.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Okay, so this is only worth 60% of your total score. So if you don't take this one, that means you get a 0 for this one times 40. So the best you can do if you get 100 on this is a 60. The idea is to give you lots of exposure to this so that you really learn it. That's the idea. It's a different type of test. The stakes are higher than homework, but still pretty kind of a low stakes test. There's lots of things we can do different when we're online that I can't do when we're in the classroom.
Dr. Wright, so the second take, that opens, when does that open? Because I see the first one opens 8 a.m. and then the second one ends at 10 p.m. When does the second one, when are you able to open the second one?
As soon as you submit this. So let's say you started this at 8 o'clock on Wednesday and you submitted it, let's say by 9. As soon as you submit that, this one shows up. So 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So it's not there until you submit the first take?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's to prevent people from taking this one first because it's worth less.
Okay, gotcha.
I've thought about it. All right, what else? If you have any other questions, just let me know. So you know where it is, right? Course modules. Scroll down. There's the info right there. Okay. So I wasn't gonna do the practice test, but I think given that we've been online and stuff, it's probably a good idea for you to have some practice first.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So that's all I have. Short, sweet class.
And the practice tests are open now, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything
All
else?
righty, everybody. Good luck this week.
Yeah.
Are we good to go?
Yeah, I think so.
All righty.
Have a great week.
Thank you, Dr. Wright.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Wright.
Dr. Wright.
Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Wright.
See you later. That's awesome.